What a week we just had, and what a week it is going to be. I was looking ahead at the transits of this week. There's a lot going on. We have the lunar eclipse on Tuesday. We have Mars move into Pisces on Monday. This is really a big week to feel our feelings, especially anything residual that maybe we've been putting off or not wanting to acknowledge or feel. This is a great week to make space for it. We have so much in Pisces right now. With Mars moving there, going to amplify that. And there could be this whole week as well a focus on clearing out doubts or clearing out insecurities related to what we want. If there have been things that we're stepping into, a new direction we're headed, and there's just these little like voices of, oh, what about this? Or what about that? Or are you sure you can really have that? Are you sure you can really create that? Blah, 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 blah. There might be how do I say, an increase in volume of those kinds of thoughts this week of lingering doubts about what we're doing and what we're stepping into. We're in a big transition at the moment in between the lunar new year and the solar new year, the spring equinox. This is a really big time, especially with this full moon eclipse, of going within and really seeing, okay, what's being illuminated in me right now that I need to clear or that I need to really deal with and feel in order to release and not take with me. I feel like I've been a broken record talking about how that's been a major focus these last few months of really heavily releasing things that we can't take with us into this new year and into this new cycle that we've entered into already. And March overall, which is crazy, we're already in March. March overall feels like a really big month of just refining the way that we're moving forward, mostly due to the Mercury retrograde and Pisces. And things will be transitioning into Aries. We're going to have Venus move into Aries this upcoming weekend. So as things transition into Aries and join Saturn and Neptune, there is this big push to keep going in the direction that we're headed and not let these doubts or fears or beliefs from past versions of ourselves hold us back from staying true to the course. That's one of the biggest things of this week is don't let the doubts pull you under. Can be helpful to journal them out or talk them out with someone you trust or a healer, therapist, whatever works for you, to really bring these things to the surface and feel the feelings behind them. There could be, how do I say, a tendency or desire to ignore the feelings and maybe over intellectualize them. But I feel like they're going to come out no matter what this week. And that might be a big point of discomfort as we head into this week is like, oh no, I like this is happening so that I really look at underneath the surface, the feelings that I've stored that I haven't dealt with. That's really the major energy of this week. And the fact that, you know, it's a full moon, it's an eclipse, and Virgo, we're ending a cycle we began 6 months ago with the new moon eclipse in Virgo we had at the end of September. I believe we actually had two new moons in Virgo last year, one at the beginning of September and the other one at the end of September. And the second one was an eclipse. So we are wrapping up a cycle that began back then with the new moon. If you take in my Manifest with the Moon class that lives in my membership, then you know full moons end 6-month cycles. They are a culmination, a manifestation of what we set intentions around beginning 6 months ago with the new moon we had in the same sign. Now, this being an eclipse, it's maybe a major unexpected change related to that. Maybe moving in a new direction or getting more clarity on exactly what that direction looks like or how to head in that direction. For me, this is happening mostly in my 6th house and my 12th house. I've been clearing so much subconscious stuff in order to move forward in ways that I have been wanting to with work and with my career. So I do feel like the beginning of the week is going to bring up some uncomfortable emotions for us to look at and sit with. And then as we end out the week, it feels like there's more inspiration or motivation related to that. Like the things that come up may inspire us to act in certain ways, to move forward on the things that we want. Maybe a little bit of our muse, like the feelings that we really have to feel. The feelings that come up this week could be a little bit of our creative muse and inspire us to just have more clarity and create maybe more commitment to where we're headed and what we're doing. Like I said, March really feels like a month of moving forward in a lot of ways, but still not as quickly as we've wanted or had anticipated. And like I also said, we're in this transition. We're in a transition. So it's so important to honor your rest cycles right now, to honor when you're just not feeling like doing anything, because that will fuel the times that you are inspired or motivated to do things and to create, right? So transitions aren't linear. They're not so how do I say, easily defined, or we can't plan for them, right? There's a lot of just we can't plan. We have to flow energy at the moment, and this week is going to heighten that. There might have been things we thought we were going to do or whatever, and we are going to be reevaluating those. And again, like I said, it's a very big theme of March with the Mercury retrograde, reevaluating what we're doing as it relates to our spiritual creative practices or pursuits, and allowing space for feelings to come up along that journey of really stepping into what we're doing, what we're creating, what we're building. That's new and probably different than anything we've ever done. And that paves the way for April to be a really big forward momentum moving month. I've been taking more one-on-one clients recently, and it's just such a joy to connect with y'all over Zoom and like meet you and read your charts and help you just get your shit together and move forward in alignment with your life path. And almost every single person, like the thing in question of like, when is this going to get more clear? When is this going to move forward? Is the timing around it is pretty much the same for almost everyone. It's like end of April and into May. And April and May just feel like really big months of moving forward, and stepping fully into the thing we've been slowly building for what feels like quite some time. So that, yeah, it's coming. Honor your rhythms right now to get you there. It is all getting you there. And the more present we can be with ourselves and our life and focused on what's going to support me right now in this moment to get me to where I'm headed, the better, the more easeful of a transition this is going to be for all of us if we're just really fully living presently and trusting, as I talk about, your human design authority to guide you to the when and the how, because that's what it is there for. So yeah, trust your intuition for what to do when. It is your guidance system. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to say about this week? There might be some unconventional things as well. I feel like I talked about this last week, maybe for the past couple weeks. There might just be some things we have to adjust that are a little bit unconventional as we move forward. A little bit like, oh, okay, well, you know, I didn't anticipate that, but it actually is better for me. That, you know, there's something to that, as well as we head into this week. If you have anything around, I believe the eclipse is going to be at 12 degrees of Virgo, Sun 12 degrees Pisces, Moon 12 degrees Virgo. If you have anything around those degrees of Pisces or Virgo or Gemini or Sagittarius, they're going to be affected, amplified by this eclipse. So let me know if you do in the comments. I'll respond to as many as I can about that. I have my Saturn at 10 degrees Pisces, so that'll be an interesting way it is showing up for me. Talking about this in my membership. If you're inside, join the conversation, or you might have already seen it and had added your 2 cents to it. I think that's all. Is there anything else I want to say? Yeah, be present with any heaviness that comes up earlier in this week. It's clearing and paving the way for the lightness to come when it inevitably does. I think a lot of us are going to feel better with daylight savings and with the spring equinox, and just moving forward in more and more into March. This first couple days feels a little rough. We will get through it. Rely on your practices. You have to help and support you, and that's all I'll say because I've gone on about this. The overview of this week for a little bit. So let's get into the horoscopes. Okay, Aries Rising, hi. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your work, your health, your day-to-day routines of what you do for work, how you make money. There could be some big culmination that happens with the eclipse on Tuesday around that. That could propel you to release something or release an attachment to your work in some way, or release how do I say, perceived perfectionism, or like overly, if you've been overly critical of your work in some way, or what you want to do that's different than what you have been doing before, there could be this really big momentum to really release it and to let go and step into what you want to do in a way that's unperfect, in a way that's maybe a little bit messy than you thought for yourself or envisioned. There's a huge focus with everything in Pisces, especially this week, on your mental health. So, really prioritizing that as much as you can, reevaluating your spiritual practices or meditation or things that you have in place to support your mental health as well as your physical health. On Tuesday, there could be something really big coming to a head around that you maybe take into Wednesday. There could be some tension between those two areas of like maybe you've been overworking and you really need to reel it back in order to prioritize your mental and physical health and have more of a balance with both those areas of your life. Later on Wednesday and into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your relationship. So there could be some people that you're getting more clarity around of like, oh, this no longer fits who I'm stepping into, this spending time with this person or these people, and I have to switch it up. This could even be getting more clarity about where you're spending your time or what you're consuming from other people, social media, even conversations or certain places you've been going, really kind of just being more selective, more discerning with how you're spending your time and energy, where you're putting yourself around people that just don't feel like it's where you're meant to go anymore. Um, then on Friday, there could be something triggering that comes up around that. There could be this pull um, to emotionally focus on your relationships, but it also triggers something about your sense of self or identity, or someone in your life triggers something about you and what's changing with you and what's been healing in your sense of self the last 7 years. It could really trigger something massive on Friday. And again, maybe having you reevaluate where you're spending your time and who you're spending it with, kind of thing, so that you just make some refinements and necessary changes. Also, on Friday, there could be this feeling mm, of a renewed, like, how do I say? You could really be, because of that, maybe feeling yourself. There's this outburst of confidence that begins for you on Friday. And even though maybe you get triggered about something related to that, it feels like you move through it really quickly and you come back to like what feels good. You could just be putting on like a really fun outfit that you feel super confident in. And then like something about, I don't know, somebody makes a comment or something and it kind of like triggers something in you. And then you're like, wait, that's not me anymore. That's kind of the energy, is like no one can really take you out of your center anymore. As we head into the weekend, the emotional focus moves onto your shared resources, your vulnerability, your intimacy, as well as kind of being focused on this emotional transformation. I feel like Saturday and over the weekend, you really reflect on everything that came up in the week and how you want to move forward, being more embodied in this version of yourself that it feels like a new life compared to your old self. It really is like, "Oh, that was I used to do that," or "That was me." It really feels like you're undergoing this deep psychological transformation, and there's a lot of clarity around that over the weekend, and there might be some more emotions that come up, as well in order to clear out and really just see and acknowledge how far you've come and grown from the version of you that you're not anymore. So yeah, that's how we end out your week, Aries. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Taurus Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your creativity, your dating, your romance. That's where we're going to have the eclipse for you on Tuesday. There could be some um, culmination or illumination of a project, a creative project that kind of comes to a close that you get answers around, you get clarity around. And maybe it's kind of sudden or unexpected as well, how it comes about. And it might be, it might come about in a different form than you had planned for. And it's kind of like, okay, does this still feel good? Um, or do I need to let this go and make space for something that feels better to come in and emerge? That's kind of the energy. There might be some friends you have to lean on as well and get, kind of talk things through with, or yeah, it feels mostly friend related. You can also get some more just clarity on what you want to do moving forward long term, related to this creative project. And then as we head into Wednesday, it feels like there's some emotional tension between this creative project and maybe dating, romance as it applies, and what's going on with friends or community or long term goals and visions. It might be some money related thing or relationship related thing where it's like, okay, how do I find the balance between these? And it's kind of like you maybe get some idea or way of doing something differently again, kind of like an unconventional energy comes about, maybe just a spur of a moment idea, of what to do differently in order to align with what you actually want, instead of maybe kind of like focusing on the dangling carrot. Does that make sense? As we get later into Wednesday and into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day to day work, your routine, your physical health. So there could be something emotionally, maybe even when as early as Wednesday, that there feels like there's some tension around what's going on with your mental health and what's going on with your physical health. And again, kind of finding the balance between these two areas. It's almost like there's been so much going on for you and so much change. Like, how do you ground yourself and how do you stay centered? That's really the focus middle of the week is on what practices can you adopt to stay and remain centered and grounded through all that is changing and changing for you really quickly. There could be something about that on Friday that is triggered. There's a shift and focus of your values and your self-worth and relationships, maybe money even, to your inner world and to your subconscious. There could be something around work or health that maybe triggers you, and triggers something within your subconscious that has been a big focus for you to release and shift out of your identity around these last few years. And it kind of feels like a final push to really embody some new version of you as opposed to who you used to be or how you used to be. As we head into the weekend, Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your relationships, and harmonizes with what's going on in community or friend groups or social media, or maybe even long term goals and vision. You might over the weekend get a lot more clarity on where you want to head. This new direction you're going, and again, more clarity over your path and your long term goals and how you're aligning with them. There could be some support that comes through a person in your life or multiple people that help you with that. Maybe you have a good conversation with somebody that kind of inspires you or just gives you clarity, um, around how to move forward. But that could also directly challenge temporarily what's going on with your ability to change something in career. There could be, again, like this this energy keeps coming up for you. It's like there may be something you have to just shift your expectations around, in order to line up with what actually is better for you moving forward, as opposed to maybe the exact thing you thought was going to be best for you. So that's how we end out the week, Taurus, for you. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Gemini Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your home. That's where we're going to have the eclipse for you on Tuesday, is in your area of home and family. So there's a lot of emphasis there. There could be something you're wanting to change suddenly, maybe with home or with family. Could just be how you're handling or organizing your approach to home or family in some way. This could also look like wanting to get rid of a lot of possessions and finally feeling the urge or the desire in a really big way all of a sudden. And it could also illuminate something in your career or help you to move forward on something in your career in some way, because there's a lot of focus on that area of your life this week, especially. And moving forward into March, it's kind of like, okay, what are you doing with your career, with your public image? What have you been building there? And how can you just stay true to the path of it, and not maybe get distracted by other areas or mindsets, things like that. There could be something really big emotionally you release in terms of something with home or with family, in order to have more space to focus on career and what is changing about that, or what direction you're headed there. Wednesday, the emotional focus moves into your area of dating, romance, as well as creative projects. There could be something that's a little tension producing related to your community or your long term goals and visions, that kind of puts a temporary emotional tension on what's going on with dating or romance or creative passions or projects. Again, it's kind of like there's so much that's coming up, and it's really like how do I balance all of this? It feels like a seesaw kind of energy. Um, but it's again, the message is really stay true to the path of where you're headed and don't get too distracted by these other areas that are kind of pulling temporarily for your attention. On Thursday, there might be something frustrating that happens with a creative project and what's going on with money. There could be some big reevaluation that's going on with money that's affecting career, and it's really it's pulling. It's a slowdown, and it's pulling you internal, to look at what's going on inside of you with those things, so you can move forward without any like baggage or anything like that underneath the surface. Especially Friday, there could be something really majorly triggered emotionally within a creative project, your long term goals, visions, and community. It could kind of trigger an old identity wound with community or long term goals. Maybe social media if that applies as well. But I do feel like it's going to also provide much needed clarity on just what to do and where to go moving forward, and give you that energy of, okay, yes, I'm fully committing to this, and this is what it looks like. As we head into the weekend, Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day to day work, your physical health. There could be something with that is challenging a belief system or challenging a philosophy of life or perspective that you've been viewing the world from. There could be this really big breakthrough around that, and that could also positively benefit some a little bit more forward momentum with career. Um, and maybe taking like some inspired action all of a sudden, or getting clarity on what to do or move forward with in career. There could be some things as well come to light over the weekend with community or friendships or long-term goals, vision, social media, that maybe you were like waiting to, how do I say, get clarity around, and it's like, oh, okay, here it is. It really feels like we end out the week with more answers, and more clarity on what's going on, and a feeling of like, okay, here we go. It's moving, even though it's happening a little more slowly. Things are moving in the direction that you've been wanting. And feeling a little bit more energetically aligned as well. So that's your week ahead, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Cancer Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your communication, your day to day errands, routines, what you're doing, who you're talking to on a daily basis. There could be something really major that comes up with that on Tuesday with this eclipse, as that's where it's going to be for you. And it could maybe really put some tension on a belief system or a mindset that you've been kind of viewing the world from a certain lens. And there's a sudden clarity of like, oh, I need to really let go of this belief or that belief in order to move in the direction that I actually want to with everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm building. There might also be something you really have to speak up for yourself around. Maybe in career, or just really kind of assert yourself and speak your truth and your needs. Um, with those around you in order for them to be met. A really big energy of that Wednesday morning. As we get later into Wednesday, the emotional focus moves into your home, your family. You could be emotionally really focused on home. If you live with someone, really kind of just talking through things with that person, or with your family, or to yourself. It's like kind of hermit energy a little bit of like, okay, I really need to go within and see what's coming up underneath the surface, and that could put some tension on what's going on with career, what new direction you're headed with career. But it is a temporary emotional setback that's just kind of going to give you more clarity on what's going on in your inner world that maybe has been blocking things or contributing to like the slowness feeling with what you're doing and where you're headed, so that you shift it and it no longer holds you back from doing what you want to do and moving forward in that direction. Thursday, there could be something emotionally challenging with what's going on in home or family and how you have been expanding or how you have been learning to support yourself and your needs more than you would have in the past. There could be something that really challenges that on Thursday. And then as we head into Friday, like again, like I talked about at the beginning of this update, there could be some really triggering things that happen this week, especially for you, Cancer, on Friday. There could be something really emotionally triggering about home or family, that maybe brings up an old identity wound as it relates to your career. It could be like if you're doing this new thing and you're talking to somebody about it who just doesn't view life that way. Like I'm thinking of back when I was starting this business, I could not talk to my family about it because they're not entrepreneurs, and so I couldn't talk to them about what I was doing because they just didn't get it, and they would have really like triggered a version of me that wasn't necessarily confident in what I was doing yet because I haven't proved to myself that I could, even though it was my dream and I knew it was possible. And here I am doing it 6 years later. That's kind of the energy. It's like, don't, kind of keep what you're doing to yourself if the people around you aren't going to support it. That's especially the energy on Friday. But, even if you do kind of just share, it could bring up that trigger for a reason in order for you to really believe in yourself and where you're headed. As we head into the weekend, the emotional focus shifts into your creative passions, dating, romance as well. So there could be some positive momentum with that area of your life and what you're doing to really shift your perspective or step into something new and different. Again, it's like triggers are brought up this week for a reason. And as we end out the week, it's like, okay, I got what I needed from that. And now I get to move forward, fully believing in what I'm doing and knowing that it is what I'm meant to be doing and it's going to work out for me no matter what. So that is how we end out your week, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments and I will see you next week. Hi, Leo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your money. That's where we're going to have the eclipse for you on Tuesday. There could be some big illumination or culmination with your money, with your finances, with food, with possessions as well. Take it as it applies for your situation. There's some big culmination of what's been building the last 6 months with what you do for money, how you make it, and also what you do with the money that you make. There could be, a big new direction you've been heading with that. And there could be a lot more answers or just feeling more aligned with what you are doing and what direction you have been stepping into, probably for the last year, maybe even 2 to 3 years. It kind of feels like finally here it is. That's especially what Tuesday feels like. Although there is this emotional tension between your money and what's going on, maybe with debt or taxes or investments or shared resources, maybe even vulnerability and intimacy too. This time period could really be calling for you to go deeper within your psyche, your subconscious, to see again what's going on for there. I mean, what's going on for you there. That has been such a focus of the last, like really since last summer, is your inner world, like what's going on underneath the surface of things, and what needs some kind of refinement or some shifts to just feel more, how do I say, like aligned with the path that you're heading and more having better faith and belief in yourself with where you're headed as well. As we get into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day to day, like where you go, who you talk to on a daily basis, running errands, also in your communication. There could be something you really have to speak up for yourself about within a relationship or a connection with somebody. And it kind of helps you to step more into this confidence with what you're doing in this new cycle that you've entered into. It might be uncomfortable in the moment or uncomfortable to the mind of like, oh God, I really have to like tell this person how I feel or what's going on. And that's uncomfortable, but it really creates this exhale and this like, oh wow, okay. I feel better for doing that. So that could be a thing. Wednesday, Thursday. There might be multiple situations you have to do that with certain people. Um, or maybe just one person that there's been a reoccurring thing with. Friday, that there can be something around that that's really triggering. It feels triggering to your inner mindset, your inner belief system, your inner world. Again, that's bringing up these triggers of maybe where there's been these how do I say, cracks in the foundation of your confidence and your courage to step into what you're doing. And it's bringing them up for a reason so that you see what these blind spots are, and that you make adjustments to really feel more aligned with where you're headed and on a solid foundation. Saturday, the emotional focus is on your home, your family. There feels like there's a lot of positive momentum towards emotionally clearing out stuff underneath the surface. There could be some, again, like really deep, vulnerable, intimate conversations you have to have about stuff that helps you to clear out what's going on in your inner world so that you feel more, you just feel better. Like you just feel better and more aligned with where you're headed and where you're going. And that's really how we end out the week for you, Leo. So let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Virgo Rising. We start the week off with the emotional focus on you. There is this sense of emotional renewal at the start of the week, feeling maybe more emotionally aligned with the version of you you've been stepping into. There could be some big purge or release of an old identity or an old version of yourself with this eclipse on Tuesday. And maybe you are really calling in the support of certain connections and certain people in your life to really support where you're headed with your identity. That's shifting in a major way, and really laying the groundwork for where you're headed. It feels like you've been calling in a lot of more aligned relationships. There could be something that comes up around that on Tuesday, a really supportive conversation you have with somebody to fully step into where you're headed with your path, where you're headed with this version of yourself that's been building over the last year that you've been stepping into. There's been a big renewal around, maybe even releasing like past life stuff or just, again, old outdated versions of you, and really maturing your sense of self in a major way, and attracting people who are supporting you in being able to do that. There could also be Tuesday into Wednesday, some sort of helpful conversation you have with somebody in your life around that. Later on Wednesday, it feels like there's the emotional focus shifts into your money, and it feels like there's a positive transformation that happens with money and work. This could look like suddenly getting a new client or getting a raise, or it feels like there's positive support for some sort of change with what you're doing. on a daily basis for work. Could be related to health as well and food, kind of just getting the clarity and momentum on like what to do differently with either of those things to step in a new direction. Um, and it could temporarily on Wednesday emotionally challenge or add tension to what's going on with your vulnerability, your shared resources. It could be like, okay, great, I have this new opportunity for to improve my finances, but then what do I do with that, or how do I share it with those who I'm responsible for or I'm in relationship with, that kind of thing. Like, how do I handle this responsibly is kind of the energy that comes up on Wednesday as well. As we head into Thursday, there could be something emotionally challenging about what's going on with money or possessions, and how you're expanding with community or with social media or with your long term goals and visions. Again, it's kind of this question of like, okay, is this like, what do I do with this? Or how do I handle this in a way that really feels good for me moving forward? To kind of handle it with a sense of responsibility, maturity, and stability is the energy on Thursday. As we head into Friday, there could be something emotionally triggering about money, that brings up this old wound or around an identity that a way you used to handle resources that is no longer where you're operating from, but it could really trigger that old kind of part of you, for you to just further do some more cleanup work around and really see as well how far you've come and how much you've changed from that old version of you or how past you would have handled this. Later on Friday and into Saturday, the emotional focus moves into your communication, where you're going on a daily basis, who you're talking to. There's also, because of that, a lot of positive emotional momentum towards what's going on with relationships. So there could be a lot of support as we head into the weekend from the people around you. Could be a very social weekend of like really dealing with heavy stuff most of the week, and then having to really kind of have some reprieve time of spending time with friends or spending time doing things that you love that feel really good and supportive for you. So that there's like some lightness that comes after the kind of heaviness that this week is going to be. So that's your week ahead, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Libra Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus in your subconscious. So you could really be entering a big hermit mode the first couple days of the week. That's also where we're going to have the eclipse on Tuesday for you, is in your area of mental health. There could be some really big release of a mindset, of a belief system, of getting a lot of clarity on maybe a way you've been operating kind of subconsciously about something, maybe even with work or with physical health or with money, with relationships. It's really kind of getting this look at what's going on underneath the surface of being illuminated so that you can clear it out. Kind of like the dust bunnies in the closet. If you don't take everything out of your closet and like do a restructuring, you don't know that there's like gross dust bunnies on all of your stuff that you haven't looked at. That's the energy of the first couple of days of the week, especially the eclipse we have Tuesday for you. And then it feels like there could be some really helpful conversations you have later on Tuesday and into Wednesday. But it could also bring up some more sensitive triggers, again, that are there underneath the surface in your mindset or belief systems, for you to really just, again, further clean up or do some like, okay, we're no longer allowing that to be how I view things or what I think about this, so that you move forward in a new way. As we head into Wednesday, there is really this sense of emotional renewal for you. And some positive, maybe positive emotional transformation related to you, your sense of self, as well as your creative passions, projects, dating, romance. There's really this harmony that comes, but it could also put some emotional tension on what's going on with a relationship or somebody in your life that you've maybe been needing to set boundaries with, or be stern, be a little bit stern with. And it could feel like, oh, I feel really emotionally creative, but also it challenges what's going on with someone in my life, or a relationship in some way. So, middle of the week, there's still like some more cleanup happening, although there is more of a sense of lightness. There is still a lot of emotional cleanup that's happening as well in various ways. Thursday rather could come up with career. There could be something about career or your public image, reputation that challenges you emotionally. As we head into Friday, there's emotional tension between what's going on with you, your ability to focus on and care for you, and some trigger or wound within a relationship. So this could be a close person to you in your life. It could literally be a stranger that triggers something emotionally about you, maybe your appearance or sense of self identity. Again, calling for you to really clean up the gunk that is underneath the surface that maybe you didn't realize was still there. As we head into Friday, later on Friday and into Saturday, really, the emotional focus shifts onto your money. It feels like there's a lot of positive momentum between your money, finances, resources, and what's going on with work. So there could be a lot of just feeling more creatively inspired to launch new things or create new things, to just put more of a focus and energy on what's going on with work and money. There could be some unexpected money coming in as well related to career, or what you've been changing with work and moving in a new direction around. It kind of feels like a final cleanup happening there as well, although it feels a lot lighter and more fun than the emotional cleanup that was happening for most of the week up until this weekend. But that's how we end out the week for you, Libra, is with this really kind of renewed sense of what you're doing for work and career, and to make money, and maybe getting newly inspired ideas, again, like I said, to act on, or to put into motion. Maybe things that have been building for some time. It's like, okay, here we go. We're moving forward. It's time. So that's how we end out your week, Libra. Very exciting. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Scorpio Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your long term goals, visions, community, social media. That's where we're going to have this eclipse for you, is in that area of your life. There could be some big illumination of a long term goal or vision you've been wanting to step into. And it's time, especially as it relates to creative projects or pursuits. This could apply to dating or romance as well, if that's how it's showing up in your own life. But there's a lot of focus on moving forward in some big new direction with creative projects, passions, and getting clarity on, okay, maybe what further needs to be let go of, maybe in your mindset, even to further align with the new direction you've been heading. It's like this big release of the old on Tuesday. So you further step into the new. There could be also a helpful conversation you have with somebody in your life related to that Tuesday and Wednesday, that could maybe emotionally challenge you to look at something differently than you had been before. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your inner world, your subconscious. So there could be some things you're really emotionally focused on shifting or changing about your mental health, what's going on in your inner world, your subconscious, and maybe even related to what's been going on with work, what new direction you've been heading with all of that, what you do on a daily basis to make money. There could be something that kind of triggers, again, a belief system in you to reframe, and to look at differently so that you're more aligned with this path that you're headed and what you're stepping into, as opposed to where you have been. There could also be some harmony between what's going on with your home that you're maybe wanting to change about home or family, on Wednesday also. As we head into Thursday and Friday, there could be something emotionally triggering about work or physical health, that again kind of puts tension on your ability to focus on your mental health. They're really the middle of this week, and as we get into Friday, there's this, how do I balance my mental and physical health? How do I balance this new direction I'm headed with kind of what is going on in my inner world as well, that's really calling and pushing for attention. in order to clear out and have renewal around in your energetic foundations. Later on Friday and into Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto you. So there's this sense of emotional renewal. There might be a sense of like breaking out of a cocoon. Kind of sounds dramatic, but that's what I'm getting, and feeling really more emotionally renewed and inspired to do what you want to do and step fully more into that direction. There could have been, again, like a lot of clearing that happened for you this week that's mm, propelling you to feel differently about what you're doing and feel more inspired and motivated towards this creative project or passion that you're pursuing. And it feels like there's a ton more harmony and just momentum towards really taking the steps to make it happen, and to be disciplined and committed with it, even if it's, not like a thing that changes your life overnight. It's like, what are you doing on a daily basis in order to build it? And it could very well change your life overnight, but it's like you got to put drops in the well, and then the well will overflow. That's the energy. There could be more emotional harmony as we head more into the weekend, Saturday into Sunday, over what you're doing. Could be more helpful conversations with people as well to really support you in expanding your mindset around what this is, and choosing to see life differently, related to that as well and what you're doing. So that's your week ahead, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Sagittarius Rising. We start the week off with the emotional focus on your career. Also, your area of public image, reputation. There could be something big that you're releasing around that. Maybe it's a mindset, even of like needing to do things perfectly or needing to do things one certain way. That's where we're going to have the eclipse for you on Tuesday, is in your area of public image and reputation. So there could be something really big that comes to light around that you get clarity around. There's also a lot of energy and forward momentum in your area of home and family. This could look like really shifting beliefs from childhood or conditioning from childhood that has maybe affected you in career, or affected you in every other area, really. There's this further cleanup happening in your inner world in a really big way. Could also affect how you're talking to yourself, and maybe even how you're presenting yourself to in your career, like how you're sharing ideas and sharing information within your career, related to like your inner world talk and communication in some way. As we head into Wednesday, there's tension between what's going on emotionally in your career and what's going on in your inner world with home or with family. It could feel like on Wednesday there's tension between those two areas emotionally. It might feel the most intense on Tuesday, early Wednesday, of like, okay, this push and pull between your home, your family, your you time, and where you're pulled with career, or to kind of defend a reputation or your image in some way, or your ability to like focus on work. As we get later into Wednesday, the emotional focus moves onto your long-term goals, visions, community, and social media. But there could be some emotional tension between that area and what's going on with dating, romance, what's going on with creative passions, what new direction you've been stepping into with setting boundaries and all of those things, and having a major evolution with that. There could be some tension in a friendship. There could be tension maybe on social media or something that maybe triggers you a little bit, and kind of has, I feel like it's going to lead to a sense of empowerment, but in the moment it feels just a little, how do I say, unnerving or unedging. It could really trigger you, some old identity within you about relationships or how you handle them, especially on Friday. But it's gonna, like I said, create the sense of empowerment of like viewing the old you with compassion of like, wow, I really used to handle things that way, and I'm just not that person anymore. And it's like, it, how do I say, it builds more confidence in the new you and the new identity that has been forming for you. And you might even get clarity on Friday around long-term goals and visions related to that, or something about social media or how you're showing up there. As we head into the weekend, Saturday, the emotional focus moves into your subconscious. There could be a lot of healing that occurs for you over the weekend, like really going deep within your psyche, within your subconscious to look at something. It could also directly challenge what's been changing about your communication. Again, your mindset, how you're talking to yourself, and how that's coming out in the way that you share ideas and information. There's a lot of subconscious, like uncomfortable shedding that happens for you, and it really finalizes over the weekend. Um, and it's almost like the last stage of breaking out of the cocoon before you actually learn to fly and you have your wings, and then it's like, oh, okay, here we go. But yeah, that's that's how it feels for you as we end out the week, Sagittarius. So let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Capricorn Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your belief systems, on your mindset. That's where we're going to have the eclipse for you on Tuesday, is in your area of perspective, how you view the world. There could be some really big solidification of a new world view that clicks into place with this eclipse, this big illumination and culmination of a new way of viewing life. Also, that changes the way you share ideas and information. It could really change how you're sharing your creative or spiritual pursuits, what new direction you've been headed with communication, or how you're sharing your passions, your ideas, your information. There's a lot more momentum on that area of your life than there has been, and moving forward in a new direction. And there could be something big that comes up with the eclipse that kind of presses you to release something around that, so you can fully more embrace the new way that you're stepping into with how you communicate yourself, and maybe even talk to yourself as well. As we get into Wednesday, it feels like there's tension between your area of communication, also day to day errands, where you're going, who you're talking to. There could be a big shift that's occurring there for you that you've been reevaluating. But there could be something that puts emotional tension on it on Wednesday. And again, maybe kind of triggers your worldview, triggers you to look at life differently in general as a whole, and maybe be less critical about yourself or others, and how you like just naturally view the world. Later on Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your career. So there's a lot of mm, momentum towards what you're doing with career, but it might put tension on home in some way, home or family. It could feel like, okay, how do I balance these two areas right now? Because you're really pulled towards career and money. And there could be a really positive transformation with those two areas, career and money, but it could also directly just put some tension on what's going on with home or family in some way temporarily. That kind of forces you to evolve. And again, come into a greater sense of balance with those two areas. Friday, the emotional focus on your career adds tension to what's been healing majorly within home or with family. There could be some triggers brought up around that, maybe related to a sense of self or identity that has been healing majorly for you. That is maybe triggered through career. And there could also be Thursday into Friday, something about that with the relationship as well. That maybe is just a temporary emotional trigger, that again forces you to evolve something in those areas in a certain way. Could be a little bit of a muse for you as well to take into your career or share in an inspiring way. As we head into the weekend, the emotional focus shifts onto your long-term goals, visions, community. There could be something around that early on Saturday that maybe is directly challenging what's going on with money, how you've been changing your resources or possessions. But again, it's kind of forcing you to evolve something about those two areas in a way that is needed. And then it feels like there's a lot more energy on harmony between what's going on with community, social media, long-term goals, and sharing ideas and communicating things. It's kind of like more focused on the harmony, more on what about this Saturday and Sunday that's going to inspire you to share something or to talk through something with somebody, and what's going to come from that, as opposed to what feels challenging or what feels frustrating? Because there is a lot of harmony between like where you're going, who you're talking to, maybe spending time with friends or socializing, community, kind of orienting your energy towards that, because it's going to feel a lot better and more supportive over the weekend. So that is your week ahead, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates with you. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Aquarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your subconscious, your psyche, vulnerability, intimacy, shared resources. That's where the eclipse is going to be for you on Tuesday. So there might be some things you're cleaning up or wanting to refine about how you share resources with someone, or how you invest. How you're paying off debt, how you're paying taxes or taking care of that. There could be something really big that's illuminated about your money in order to release an old mindset with money or possessions in general, and maybe also feel better about where you're headed with that, as opposed to where you have been. There's a lot of momentum towards releasing something in your shared resources and in your area of vulnerability, in order to have a deeper psychological transformation with money, with value, with possessions, and self-worth. On Wednesday, there could be something about that directly adds emotional tension to a relationship with money, or like in a relationship talking about money kind of thing. There could be some challenges that you just have to work through with a certain someone in your life as it relates to money, and kind of just find common ground or find something that works better for you in this relationship with this person, however that applies. Could just be the relationship you have um, with money, if there's not anyone in your life that's bringing that up for you. Let's see, Thursday, later on Wednesday and into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your perspective, your belief systems, how you're viewing life, and it adds tension to what's changing about your communication, or what's been maturing, or what you've had to be more responsible with as it relates to communication, or more boundary setting around certain types of conversations or communication, or how you even share ideas and information, or talk to people, or talk to yourself. There's a way that's been maturing, and something on Thursday could put tension on that emotionally, but also it positively transforms you, and positively helps you to feel more aligned with the transformation you and your sense of self have been in. It's kind of like if something happens and old you would have just not talked about it and let yourself get resentful of something, it's like new you handles it and like speaks up for yourself about it. And that kind of helps you to realize like, wow, I have really changed and transformed. I'm not the person I used to be, and I can do that. Like, it's an empowering feeling that comes from this as well. Later on Friday, or into Friday, and later on Friday, there could be something emotionally triggering again that comes up. It's kind of like that energy I just talked about, where it's like kind of adds tension to this wound, identity wound in you that you don't operate from anymore. And it might just show you how far you have come from that version of you, from that person, that you just no longer are. As we head into Saturday, the emotional focus moves into your career, your area of reputation and image. But it directly challenges the transformation that has been happening with you, your sense of self identity. So there could be something challenging between career and you on Saturday temporarily, but it also positively is affecting your money, or positively supporting you to do something with money, or release or launch something that's going to make you money. There's a lot of support as we end out the week on your career, your money, your work, and what you're doing, what you're creating, and stepping in some new direction with it, even if it is small. Just feeling more inspired or motivated to do and move forward in the ways that have been emerging for you with money, work, and career. So that is your week ahead, Aquarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Pisces Rising. We start the week off with the emotional focus on your relationships. There could be something really big that comes to a head with a relationship in your life. I mean, that's where we're going to have the eclipse for you on Tuesday. There could be some big either conversation you're having with somebody in your life or way that you're relating to somebody. It could be anyone in your life that it's just you kind of release an old, outdated uh, type of talking to other people or mindset around other people or with relationships in general. There's a big release. There's a big culmination and illumination of your relationships in a major way. Probably something that started about 6 months ago and is coming to a head, is coming to a close, and being illuminated in order for you to really shift what's going on in that area of your life with people. Um, then as we head into Wednesday, it feels like there's maybe you like realize you don't have to like let go of the connection or the relationship, but you realize like I just need to speak up for myself in it, or I just need to speak my truth and my piece and see, if they support me in that or not. And that's going to tell you a lot more than just like cutting the person off cold turkey. It's kind of like that energy of like you just have to really assert yourself. In a way that maybe made you uncomfortable in the past, but you're realizing like you're not that person anymore. And it's actually much easier for you to have difficult conversations and speak your piece than it used to be. So there's something around that that majorly comes up early in the week, maybe especially Wednesday or maybe on the day of the eclipse, depending on your chart. Let me know in the comments. As we head into later on Wednesday and into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your subconscious and really kind of supports some big emotional transformation within your psyche, your inner world, maybe related to vulnerability, or maybe even around money or resources, shared resources, debt, taxes, investments. Anything related to that kind of gets more emotional clarity on like what you want to do about it, but it could also directly challenge or put tension on what new direction you've been headed with money the last year or so. That's especially come to the forefront these last few weeks of like, no, I'm stepping into this new paradigm. I'm stepping into this new, like I'm disciplining myself and committing myself to this new relationship and beginning with money. There could be something about other people's resources or debt or something that puts tension on that later on Wednesday. But again, like I said, it positively transforms something in your inner world around it. As we head into Friday, there could be, again, something triggering with money, something triggering of like an old identity of how you used to handle money in the past or handle resources or your self-worth in the past. And there's something emotionally that kind of gets triggered within you around that. But again, it's helping you evolve and see how much you have already evolved and changed and grown and stepped into a new version of yourself that no longer is who you used to be. As we head into the weekend, the emotional focus on Saturday moves into your worldview, your perspective of life. Again, it's kind of like you end this week with this sense of like your head above the water of like, oh, this is who I am now. This is how I view life. This is how I move forward. It's a more embodied sense of self. It's a more embodied sense of you and version of you moving forward. And that could positively support where you're headed with what you're doing that is more spiritual or creative for you, maybe related to your work or your money, or a creative passion or project. It feels like there's this sense as we end out the week for you, Pisces, of emotional clarity around everything and just feeling more aligned moving forward in your foundations, your inner energetics, your inner world. So let me know how that resonates with you, Pisces. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. All right, let's talk about next week, shall we? It feels like Monday, the 9th, there's a big energetic breakthrough that we all experience, emotional breakthrough maybe around money or around like our inner transformation. And then we have on Tuesday, the 10th, Jupiter going direct. I am so excited for this one. I'm so excited for Jupiter to go direct. It's an externalization of the ways we've been expanding with our home, with our self-care, with our support, maybe as it relates to relationships as well. And we have Venus and Aries sextiling Pluto. So it feels like there's positive transformation around our value, our resources, our self-worth, finances, relationships. There is going to be this sense of, maybe on Tuesday as well, the same day Jupiter goes direct, a further emotional release in our belief systems. But it is also just like feeling more solid in where we're headed and supporting us to step into the new life. And on Wednesday, it feels like there's a big just emotional healing that occurs, maybe further solidifying of these identity wounds we've all been dealing with the past 7 years. Just fully supporting us to make positive changes in the ways that we have needed to and wanted to. Could be, as we end out next week, focus on our emotional foundations and structures. But there's a lot of, as we get into the middle of March, focus on where we're headed and what we're doing and taking action, regardless of what challenges come up or conflicts come up along the way. So that's what we have to look forward to in the middle of March. And then on the 20th, Mercury goes direct, and it's all up from there. So this transition is just temporary. Embrace it, learn to love it, honor your rhythms and your cycles and where you're at right now, because it is getting you to where you're meant to be and go in the way you're meant to be and go there. All right, let me know how this week's horoscope resonated with you in the comments, and I will see you next week. Bye.